Hello, hello, how are we doing?
Grand.
Grand, okay. Today's our third episode of Families First Fostering podcast called Who Cares? And my name is Louise Harkin, and we have as our co-host.
Jonathan Clayton.
And our guest speaker today, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, is a young man called Joe Lockley, and he runs an organisation called Bright Star. So we're going to speak to Joe today about his organisation and everything that they do for the children in our local area. You're Shropshire based, Joe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. We're based in Shifnal.
Based in Shifnal. And you've got some hubs, as it were. You've got some gyms around, I think, is it Walsall, Stoke and Shrewsbury?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we
Yeah.
run a number of different centres across the West Midlands.
Well, we brought you in today, Joe, because we wanted to talk to you about your organisation. And I know from having you come as a guest speaker to our Families First office based in Bilston, thank you very much, in the last year, and the one in Stone. The impact that you made to our foster parents and the story that you shared about how your organisation, do you call it organisation, do you call it company? I know you think there's things changing in that sense, but what do you call it?
Yeah, we call it an organisation. It's referred to a number of different things. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, with that, I think it's been pretty inspirational from what I know of you and the things that you do for the children and your whole company and the team around you. Your mentors, that it's just inspirational, really. I know that some of the foster carers that we've had in our small company have talked about the fact that if you were involved with their children, especially those from the age of 11 and up, that were having difficulties in school, that you would have changed the outcomes for those children. So what I really wanted to do today was to talk about why you care, why your company cares about these children, and what your backstory is really around what led you to having Bright Star, really. If you don't mind giving us some of your backstory.
Yeah, that's a real kind of, it can be a real deep question. We've all kind of got passion in the things we do, and I think that's going to come from some sort of lived experience. So for me, sport was what massively changed my life when I was growing up. I guess sport is what gave me that feeling of belonging, that made me feel like I was in control. Sport really kind of gave me a sense of significance and achievements. And I'm a very, very tall person. I'm 6'7", right? So I was always naturally quite good at some different sports. I got good reach in boxing. I was quite strong. And what I found when I was growing up is that I would struggle to know exactly who I was. My identity became a real problem. I grew up in a very little village in Shropshire that's like a retirement village. I was the only person there that was probably under 50 years old. And between there and then obviously with my family's house, so my nan's house where I went to school and everything like that, I was in the middle of Telford, and that was a lot busier. So I kind of really struggled to see where I should fit in, who I should be. I'm an only child as well. And as a result, what I became really, really good at is building an identity that was liked by other people, because I never thought that I'd be liked for who I am. So what I tend to do is be like, okay, these guys are cool, so I need to be more like them, and I see them as almost role models and try and fit in. And every single group I went around, I pretended to be that person. And what you find is that when you create a character that's liked by the people, you lose your own authenticity, you lose your own identity. And that's what started happening to me. So I became such a people pleaser and a person that was liked by the people that I really didn't know who I really was.
And it's exhausting doing that all the time.
100% it is, yeah. And do you know what? The guys that I thought were the ones that were liked by a lot of people, the ones I thought these guys are popular, they were the ones that were getting involved in all the wrong stuff. And my mum would look back and say they were the wrong crowd. And as a result, if I look back to them people now, one of them has died, two were in prison, and it's kind of like they were on the wrong path. When I was a young teenager, they were the cool guys, they're the ones that I had to be like. And because I was this person they liked, that I created, and whatever they did, I went a little bit further to get their respect. That's where I really kind of fell down the wrong lane, and it was only sport that took me out of it. When I was competing in sport, when I was hanging around with the team, when I was actually punching a punch bag, that's when I could really regulate my emotions. That's when I could be myself, and people would like me because of I was part of a team. I was part of something that they were going towards. And as a result, I was happy to be myself a little bit when I was playing sport, but more myself and somehow I wasn't when I was hanging around with these guys. And I was quite happy to do that. And I was actually, because I was doing okay with football, I was asked to coach the junior football team. And I was like, yeah, cool, no problem at all.
What age were you then?
I was 15 then.
Okay.
And I coached them for about a year. And one of the young people there, so they were the under-9s team, so one of the young people, 7 or 8 years old, they came up to me and said, we're writing about our role model at school, can we write about you? And I looked to my life and I was like, if they knew all the things that I was getting up to, they would not want me as a role model. And I always think the moment you're willing to make a change is the moment where you associate more pain to staying the same than you do with making a change. Because I associated like no pain with what I was doing either way, I associated pleasure with both. I was happy to do it all. In that moment there, that was a moment that I'll never forget, where I associated more pain with hanging around with these guys, with being unauthentic. So I made a promise to myself then that I would just be completely authentic and I would just be myself. And as a result, I came away from that group. You know, it was very, very difficult at the time to come away from that and actually have no friends at the time. But I started pushing back. Actually, it was like a weight off my shoulder. I started progressing in my sport, building more friendships, developing exactly who I was. And that path took me on a path where I just wanted to be a role model for more of these young people. Yeah, and I think that pain and pleasure principle was what really changed that moment for me.
The thing that resonated with you speaking then, Joe, is that a lot of our children have no identity. They feel a loss of identity, don't they?
Yeah, completely.
You know, they're taken from their families. A lot of the time they want to people please. They want to people please because it keeps them safe. They want to people please because it's the only thing that they have control of.
That's right.
And when you haven't got much control as a child, it can be quite, how can we say, be very daunting for our children. So I think giving them purpose, such as...
It's a focus, isn't it?
Yeah, your organisation and what you do. I think it's really good.
And I agree that the two words you mentioned there, safety and control, so they're two real key things. And I think it's very, very hard for people to actually choose long-term happiness over anything sort of safety. So by me hanging around with that group, that was safe. That was my safety. And actually, I could never be vulnerable on myself around them. In the sports environment, that's where I could really be vulnerable. And with vulnerability, that builds trust.
Yeah.
And then trust builds safety. That's a kind of pyramid that I was working towards without realising it.
You were your authentic self.
Exactly right, yeah.
You're stripping off those layers of your, and that young person gave you that, allowed you to be that way.
Yeah, I could be loved for who I was rather than liked for who I wasn't.
Yeah, because our children carry a shield of shame. They carry so much armour, so many layers that it's very difficult to strip that back.
Because they get labelled then, don't they? It's similar to some of the children probably Joe works with. There's that label then of this is the challenging child and this is the child that we can't fix.
When you see, you know, in black and white referral coming through, or, you know, it's basically, you know, saying to whoever, this child is this, but actually they're not. They're a child. There's so much depth to that child that you know, just somebody writing one word, this child is such and such.
Yeah,
it's so damaging.
But I think this is what I love about Bright Star. They give the child back that power as well. So that control, and they take ownership and they have their own voice. So on that, I think what I loved of your story, if you can give us some of the background around how Bright Star, it started up in 2016, but how a couple of 6 children, I think, you know, created the logo. They came up with the you know, the mission statement, as it were, but how you've probably allowed them, if that makes sense, to be that way, to take ownership, because you also were in their shoes. You felt what they were probably feeling. So can you explain how Bright Star came around then, from leading on from, you know, your journey as a coach and the sport world that you were in?
For me, it all kind of started completely by mistake. It was I was boxing, and I was boxing with my friend, and we went to the local gym, and you know, they've got all the weights equipment and that, and they've just got 2 punch bags at the back. And myself and my friend Stu, we were just punching the punch bag, and then a parent came up to us and actually said, can you help my son? And it's someone that I knew, that kind of like grew up and saw my transition and kind of saw how much it helped me.
Yeah.
So the parent said to, look, at the moment he's, you know, in respite care this weekend. I'm really struggling. He's struggling to regulate his emotions. He's had a number of different social workers over the last year. He doesn't really have a positive male role model in his life. And at the time I thought, to be able to help someone, you need to have an extensive list of qualifications and be a qualified therapist. And I was like, I don't know if I can help them, but what I do know is I can teach them how to box, and that helped me. And she goes, yeah, I'm willing to do anything, let's see what happens. So me and Stu spoke to the person who ran the gym, Dave Caulfield, and we said, can we just hire a bit of space here? He was like, yeah, of course, no problem at all. We don't use it on this evening. So every Tuesday night we have the space for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I said, for one person to come down to that session, it's going to be a pretty poor boxing session. So if he can bring some of his friends and that'd be amazing. So there were 6 of them that were all there. The one was who the mum referred, and then the 5 friends were people who she didn't actually like him hanging around with. So we booked that session, and I thought an hour and a half, 2 hours of boxing would be absolutely fine. Soon realised after 2 minutes that was way too long, and they're going to get too tired. So we probably did 15 minutes of boxing, then had a chat. 15 minutes of boxing, had a chat just about what's going on. And they were improving their boxing. They were doing really, really well. I didn't realise how much that would translate to them improving the wider their life. So we had a call come through. The first one was from the crew that they were at, and said, can I refer more people in? This is huge, like their attendance increased massively. And I was like, no, this is just for these guys, sorry, we're just going to do this project short term so it happens. And then I got a call from a social worker asking me to refer more. Again, I said no. And it wasn't until I got this one call from the one person's nan, and he lived with his nan, and his nan like broke down into tears on the phone and was like, I feel like I've got my family back together, thank you. And I was like, just please stop thanking me, I haven't done anything here. It's all this young person. So I sat them down and I said, what's happened? I'm getting some really amazing phone calls about how much you're changing your life. What's going on? What's causing the changes? Maybe I can help, and we can feed some of that in.
Is that the first time you asked the child that, though?
That's the first time.
Apart from some small informal conversations and direct through the boxing and all that.
Yeah, I guess I'd ask them. Most of the work I did with them, I was just asking open questions. What's going on here? Oh, well, if you do that, what about this? And we were, I suppose, informally really mentoring.
Aye. That's what I mean. There was a distraction with the boxing and everything, so it wasn't too direct.
This is the first time we took a step back, and rather than looking at the next problem or what's happening currently, what they've achieved and what's gone on. And the words they used, I thought they'd say, yeah, I feel stronger, I feel fitter, I feel faster, but they were nothing to do with boxing. One said, I feel like this is my family. One said, I feel like I'm in control. One said, I feel like I'm accepted here. And all the words, belonging, significance, control, it really showed me that this was a lot more than just a sport for them. Yeah. This is where they really felt like they could achieve amazing things. So I said to them, I said, we need to do more of this. These people that want to come in, can we let them in? What do you think? And they were all for it. They're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's start a club. Let's all get matching t-shirts, everything like that. But all right, cool, let's do that.
This is where it starts getting really exciting, when I remember you telling this story. So go ahead.
I just said to them, if we're going to do this, you're going to have to be on board with it. Let's call it a committee year. And you guys are going to have to come up with the name, the logo.
So you're giving them ownership from the start, aren't you?
That's it. And so they went, yeah, cool, let's meet. And they all agreed to meet their bikes at this place and tomorrow and everything. So I did have a drive past to see if they were meeting. They all were. They were all sat by this tree with their bikes there with a little pen and paper. And they came in the next day, and one of the young lads, Liam, came in with his chest out like this, and he walked up to me and he goes, we've got a great name we have. And I was expecting something like Shifnal or Brighton Boxing Club. And he goes, we want to call it Bright Star Boxing. I said, why are you going to call it Bright Star Boxing? And he goes, you can only see a bright star and a dark night, and that's where you came from.
Wow.
Isn't that powerful?
It's made me go all.
I know, goosebumps.
And you think, if they can come up with that, what else can they come up with? How can you just base this around exactly what they need? So from there, everything started. We opened up the referral pathway, as it were, and we started to get a lot more people in. It was all people that could benefit from the values of boxing and what all the needs it was meeting, rather than just the sport itself. And that was a real start of us. We started getting people in that weren't attending schools. We started an alternative provision. We got people in that wanted more of a space to talk and do the boxes. We started mental health support groups, deep programs. Everything's kind of evolved from them 6 young people and what their needs were. So
Can I ask you, for other people that are out there maybe looking to start their own organisations, because there's similar organisations out there in Shropshire now, like yourselves, but did you get any really good support at that starting bit of you trying to set up your own organisation? Did the Shropshire Local Authority help or anything like that? Did you get I think there's we have the Growth Hub here in Shropshire, did you have any?
yeah, definitely. I guess I didn't know much about anything there, but I guess what I'm really good at is being really curious, and I'll ask loads of questions to annoy a lot of people with that. Yeah, so organisation that I worked for before, Energise, they're the active partnership. There's people in the roles that were helping me there. The Shropshire Chamber helped me.
Chamber of Commerce, is it?
Yeah. Kept kind of going to the Chamber of Commerce. I met some really great people there.
Is that the people that gave you an award recently?
Yeah, they did actually.
Do
Yeah.
you want to just not to move away from what we're talking about, but can you tell us about what award your company got there recently?
Yeah, the Shropshire Business Awards. We won Community Organisation of the Year.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, which is really great. Well, but again, that came from, I think, what they said is when they came and judged us, we didn't really know what they were judging, what they were looking for, but the young people came and they actually spoke to the judges about their story. What happened.
And you keep doing that. This is what I like about your company and your ethos and your team around you. You bring the children forward. You have the children speak.
It's so authentic. It's
so authentic,
it's
yeah.
The voice
You've
of
not
the child.
lost that. It's completely the voice of the child. Everything that we as an agency and Families First, look at and push for. So going back to, the support, the beginning of those days, I remember you telling me from previous conversations, Joe, there was, as we have in our careers as well, different professionals coming in, and not to go on a negative slant, but different professionals coming in and giving that negative slant on, oh, you're creating a monster, as it were, in the sense of what this boxing can do and what it can bring to the table for these children. There was a therapist, I think, that you'd worked with. Do you want to tell that story? I've always...
Yeah. I won't name the therapist, but I think at the start, being completely honest, we didn't know what it was that was making the change. We didn't really know what we were doing really, and I think because we'd helped a number of young people, we almost got into the stage where we're like, okay, we can help anyone, we can support anyone. And I was asked to go and speak on BBC Radio Shropshire, and I think I talked on there about the work we were doing, and I was young, I didn't really know what I was saying. One of the words I said, oh yeah, we can help anyone. We can definitely use sport to help anyone. And that evening, I had more phone calls than I've ever had in my life. Everyone, I want to refer my grandson, I'm going to get this person involved, let's get them all involved. And we didn't have the space for all these people. But I remember I got one phone call that I'll never forget that was from a therapist. And he was going crazy at me down the phone. He was saying, boxing is used to weaponise, these young people can be violent, you shouldn't be teaching them this, that and the other. And then he went and said, you can't say you can help anyone, there's people that can't be supported, blah, blah, blah. And I was getting really, really angry this other phone. I was like, you're trying to squash the belief that I've got here, where I've just kind of seen that
empowering spirit and yeah.
And I said to him, hold on. I said, have you ever actually seen what we're running?
He said, brilliant answer.
Wasn't it, John? Yeah. And I said, have you met any of the young people that we've worked with? And he said no. And I said, so, as a psychologist, you're making a hypothesis about something based on a comment I've made on a radio station. I said, come and see, and if you really dislike it there, brilliant.
Yeah, what are you afraid of? That's really what you got to think of. Where's the fear there coming from this therapist?
Exactly. He's obviously had some sort of bad experience with sport and things like that, and I guess
you're taking these children away from my line. Do you know what I mean? My line of work, and you don't know.
I don't think that professional handled that very well at all.
No.
And I would be questioning, his reason behind that. It's really very unprofessional.
So how did they answer then when you said, when did you come and see?
They agreed to come down. Actually, it led to a very back and forth on the phone, and they were like, there's people you can't support. And I said at the time, well, there hasn't been anyone I haven't been able to support yet, right? Very arrogantly, very bad. And bear in mind, this time I'd probably only supported about 15 or 20
but
people.
But for that person to come at it like that, you had to come back with that retort, didn't you? In some way,
he said, yes, there is. And I said, in that case, the people you aren't able to support, please refer them into us and let's see if we can do something else. And he was just saying, actually, we got into a conversation where he was working with a young person. And I can use this young person's name because we've got a very great team now. We're doing amazing things. And the young person was called Brandon, and the therapist was kind of at the end where he said he can't meet needs. He wants to move them you know, see if there's anything else I can get involved in.